Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Banter and Bliss Podcast. My name is Allie, and I am here with my amazing co-host, Jason.
What's up?
He has made us both a lovely iced coffee drink, so we are ready to go. We are cozy. I'm cozying it up in this robe today. I've got some normal clothes underneath, but feeling cozy this morning. Today, we are going to talk about kind of I would say California versus New York. Because you're from New York. I've always been in California. Now you're here in California. And I feel like we definitely need to talk about the difference between the two. Because I feel like there is some sort of like little rivalry between the two.
For sure. I mean, New York has multiple rivalries. It's got rivalries with its nearby states and
what are those called? The neighborhood things?
Like the boroughs.
The boroughs, yeah.
I mean, it's like it's like New York.
It's always like, Jersey. I'm from the Bronx. Oh, I'm from Queens. It's like everyone's always proud to hear someone from their neighborhood.
Sure. For sure, yeah. New York.
We don't have that here.
You do, especially when you think about sports. Yeah, look at people from like the Dodgers and then the Angels and like LA is a lot like that where it's
guess with sports.
Oh, from LA, like who cares?
Yeah. Yeah, no. And then also you guys are very well known for sort of being assholes in New York.
Yeah. And
why do you think that is? Is it culture, like hustle? Like what is it, just the vibe there? Like why do you think that is? And then obviously California is more chill and relax and surfer. Hollywood.
Well, I mean, there are aspects of it. Like I think LA is much more similar to New York than the rest of California. Like LA itself, the big city, is the same thing as New York. I always say this. LA is, New York is if you took LA, you multiplied the population by 3, and then shrunk it into an area that was a third, right? That's basically what it is.
Yeah, because everything's higher.
Yeah, I mean, last time I looked at it was like 3 million pop in LA and like 9 in New York, and I'm sure it's slightly different now. But and yeah, New York, LA is like 3 times bigger, so it's like it's like a factor of 9, or so it's much more densely populated. New York City.
Yeah,
I didn't live in the city.
You lived close-ish to the city.
Yeah, I was close. I just wasn't in Manhattan. So, and that's where like most of the people that live in New York are in Manhattan, right? Because New York is what, 30 million or something. I don't even know how much is in New York.
Total?
Yeah, 25 to 30 mil, something like that. Probably. I could do like a quick Google search. New York population. Oh, wait. Okay, I'm way off. I'm overestimating that. It's 8.468 million. So Manhattan pop. Wait. Oh, okay. So this is what fucking happens when you look up shit regarding New York. You type in.
It does the city.
It does, yeah, the city of New York, and I'm thinking like, oh, it's the state. So I was right. New York, the city itself is 8.5 million. So it's almost 9 million. The state of New York is in 2021 it was about 20 mil. So about the numbers I was saying, a little bit less on the total state population. So it's like it's more than a third of the population is in this small ass area. So LA is kind of similar, but the thing is California is huge, so big.
Yeah,
the state is so large, and then it's very dispersed. It's
a lot of places in California though are like not pleasant. Like,
you mean the place isn't pleasant to be in, or it's like a middle of nowhere?
Middle of nowhere. Like it's like the drive to Vegas, the drive up north, like all of that middle area is just like desert.
Well, yeah, California has the largest population in the U.S., right? It's like 40 mil, something like that. But the state is so big that the majority of that, again, is centralized in certain areas.
The San Fran and LA areas.
Yeah. San Fran, LA, San Diego. I think if you take those 3 cities and look up the population, I think, just off my top of my head, I think that's like at least half the pop.
And like Orange County gets merged into like LA. It's just like right there.
Right. Yeah. So it kind of gets clustered with all that. And then you have those other Humboldt, Modesto, whatever, like
Yeah.
500,000
The
people
surrounding
or
areas
something.
of
Yeah.
NorCal.
People do nothing but just smoke weed up there. Like, that's it. That's the Emerald Triangle, as they call it.
I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's the big, like, so it's Humboldt, Modesto, and something else. I don't know.
Did you feel a big culture shock when you moved from New York to here? Like, did you feel out of place, like personality-wise at all?
I still do. I always feel out of place, but I don't know if it's a New York thing or it's just compared to people. I always just feel out of place. Yeah, it's different. It's different for sure. You know, when I came out here, I was told it's so different and, you know, people are so nice and blah, blah. And I mean, I do think there are degrees of like people being nice here, but I think in the time I've been here, I've gathered a sense that people being nice are just fake nice. They're not actually.
It's like polite nice. Like not genuine nice.
Right, which is not nice. It gives an illusion of niceness, which is why people think people are nice, because people seem all nice and friendly to your face. You know, and then either they're like assholes behind your back or they are just so, I don't know, shallow and there's just such a lack of depth of character that people are just like, yeah, whatever, you know, like, which I'm sure we'll talk about the flakes, the Cali flakes, as I call them.
Tell people about that. I've never heard of that before I met you.
Yeah, my friends.
And now
my friends all know.
I can see that because I've sort of lived with it. So I understand from the Cali side what.
Well, you've lived with it, but now you live with this, and you live like you're. And by that I mean, to you that seemed normal, right? And to me it seemed abnormal, because I'm the type of person, and all my friends can always attest to this. I'm the type of person that, like, I could talk about, oh yeah, we want to do something like right now, right? It's January 20th. We could say like, oh yeah, there's this like event, you know, we want to go
2 weeks.
You could say fucking 4 or 5 months, you know, like, but yeah, like 2 weeks. And it's like, oh, we should do that. Or like, oh, not like, oh, we should do that. It's like, no, like, let's do that. Let's plan on it,
Right.
blah, blah, or whatever. And I'm like, all right, cool.
Okay, we'll meet here. Like, let's
Yeah.
all go separately, blah, blah, blah. Like, you'll arrange it. And then what you mean by California flakes is that if neither of you have mentioned said event up until the event, you're still going to go and show up expecting everybody else to be there.
Yeah, because we agreed to it. Like, we said that we were going to do that. And so if I try to consider myself to be like a man of my word. And when I say something, I typically mean it. And I don't like to say one thing and do something else.
Yeah. Yeah. In California, you have to verify like multiple times.
Yeah. So, but in California, the default is assuming if you don't verify that the plans are off, which to me makes no sense because we agreed to it. So unless we contact each other to cancel, the default is we're going to that because we talked about it, we agreed on it, put it in my freaking calendar.
Yeah, I don't know why that is
planning
like a thing. It's like every time I've become an adult and I've made plans with people, like let's just say it's like a movie, like we're going to the movies with a group or something. It's always like someone has to text saying, "Hey, we're still on for tonight, right?" And it's like, "Yeah, we're still on." Or, "Oh, I thought no one said anything. Like it's still going, you know?" So it's like if no one says anything, it's almost like, "Oh, I guess no one wants to go. No one's reached out."
Which is so weird because I can get super excited about planning something, and I don't know, like I don't need to sit and like confirm 5 times. It's like we confirmed when we talked about it, like cool, let's do it, and that's it. I don't know. I mean, I think, like I said, like I consider myself a man of my word, so I hold my own word to some meaning, and I kind of hold and expect that of other people, like. So when people are more, oh well, we didn't talk about it, and there's this other, it's like it's almost like it's an excuse to just go do other things or plan other things, and I don't look at friends like that. I don't look at relationships like that. Like I prioritize those things. I enjoy seeing people that I care about and doing things with them. Um, so when that happens, and that happened a lot, like when I was in college out here and like learning, like, oh, people are like this out here. And it's weird because like when I grew up, I was in New York, and um, my adult life, you want to call it, has been mostly out here. So I have like a perspective of like when I was younger. Now I have like this adult expectation where it's like it's shaped by California. I was going to say tainted, but it's shaped and in ways that can be tainted. And
So
in
now
other
do you
ways,
verify when you make plans?
I don't. There are times where I'll do it, but I don't do it because I want to do it. I do it because
Other people can't be counted on.
well, to be fair, I don't do it with close friends. Like I don't really do it with Laura, and we've talked about because we had a conversation. Like this was a good friend of mine from school, still friends to this day. Like it's already been about 10 years. It's crazy, 10, 11 years. But like, I'll tell the story. The first time we were gonna like hang out, we planned to go eat sushi, and it was like 2, 3 weeks prior to that or whatever. I was like, yeah, we're gonna go, like, not like, oh, we should go eat sushi sometime this month. It was like, okay, let's do sushi on the 18th, blah blah, 8 o'clock or whatever. And so we planned. I had it in my calendar. I'm ready to go. I'm like getting ready, and then, or maybe we didn't confirm the time. We just said like sushi dinner. I don't remember what it was. Like I said, this was like 10 fucking years ago. And we like I think I had messaged her.
Were you there?
No, I was still at my parents' house at the time. And but I was getting ready to leave. I was like prepping and
Yeah.
stuff, and sorry, whoops. So I think I texted her or something. And maybe I was going to say like, "Oh yeah, I'm heading over now," or something like that. And she was like,
For what?
"Wait, like we're still on for that? Like we didn't confirm, so I ended up making plans with friends to go to see a movie." And I was fucking pissed. Because it was like I don't need to confirm. We already did. It was like in my head it was
Yeah.
already set, and in her head, because of California people.
You know what
and
I want to
things,
compare it to? It's like when you make a dentist appointment or something, or a doctor's
Yeah.
appointment, and you make the original appointment for that day, but then like the day before they'll send you an email saying like, "Can you confirm your appointment?"
Right.
That is Californians like to a T.
Kind of. And with doctors and dentists and stuff, I get why they do it. to me, it's like I already booked it, but I get why they do it because with them at least, they lose out on a lot of money. People are not fucking doing anything. They're sitting at home on their fucking phone on Instagram. They're doing nothing. So it's not the same thing as like a doctor that books you. You don't show up and then they lose out on $200. Like it's a business. I get that. But so this happened, and I said to her, I was like, wait, like I was about to head over, and she mentioned the thing about the movie, and then like I think I sent her like this big ass text, and like I kind of went off a little bit, and she was like, she felt really bad because she just thought I was being typical California person, and it's like she didn't know that I was still planning on going, and she ended up canceling plans with her friends to go to the movie and then ended up meeting me at the sushi place. And of course she was like 30 minutes later than what we're, but it was, I got there and I was waiting and I was like, fine. She's like, if you want, like, I'll be a little late. And I was like, yeah, it's no problem. Like I didn't care. It was like in my head, I was planning to see her that day and I wanted to see her. And so, it's like when you plan a trip, like you get like pumped to go on your trip and you get excited and stuff like that. There was something I was listening to the other day. It was talking about like from the time up until you go on a trip, and then when you go on your trip, the peak happiness is the day before the trip. Not actually the trip, the day before, because in your head you're like, oh my God, it's gonna be this thing and it's cool. So it's the same thing, it's like I like to see friends and I love sushi, and so I had the whole thing planned in my head. And then, so she ended up showing up. But it's funny because and this is the thing I always respect about Laura, and she's a really good friend. She never once flaked on me again after that. Never once. Like we planned, we scheduled, we didn't need to do like if we messaged beforehand or whatever, that's fine. But she would never assume that it was not on if I didn't message her beforehand and confirm. Yeah. Or some shit like that. And she knows that like if I say I'm going to be there, I'm going to be there.
It's so true though, because it's like Californians really are flaky. You have to confirm, like with most people. I even have to confirm with my friends.
Yeah. And to be fair, like if it was a cancellation, right? Like she can't make it. Like, of course, I'm gonna like, man, like that'll suck. I'll be a little upset, but I would rather you cancel, like if you're literally not able to make it, not you're just like, oh, I'd rather do this thing. Like, those are like not friends that will cancel on. Because I think that's what a lot of California people do is they don't schedule things because they want to see what else they could do. I've had this happen so many times. Or it's
like they don't know how they're going to feel that day. Like,
which is insane. It's like, I understand if you're like actually like ill or something, but it's like, for all intents and purposes, unless you have a fucking emergency, like it's almost like people just don't have character. They don't have.
Well, they don't stand by their commitments.
They don't. Yeah. Yeah. So it's the flakiness. That's what. Yeah. So I call it it's like the Cali flake, because pretty much all California people that I've met are kind of like that. Some are much worse than others, because obviously I have a lot of friends out here that are from California. But if anyone's like that, I just don't associate with them.
Yeah, I literally like when I make plans with people, I literally tell them I'm putting this in my calendar, which is kind of like a signal, like maybe to them, it's like, this is on, this is for certain, I'll be there. And hopefully they put in a calendar too. But yeah, I usually don't have like issues that often.
But I definitely learned that I needed to start doing that when I was dating a bunch. And that's when I realized that this is not just...
I see that being a problem with dating.
I realized... So at first I was like, oh, this is just fucking just girls, or this is just girls in California. And then I realized, it is worse with girls. Like, I feel like guys are usually they're a little bit more like reliable with that kind of stuff. But I have run into a bunch of guys that will they'll just be so flaky. But girls are, oh my God, like, yeah. Every single time I've had that happen too, where it's like, oh, well, we didn't confirm. Like, what? We did confirm when like you said, yeah, we'll go out on whatever day in 2 like
It's
in
like
2
the
days.
plan and then confirm. Like you have to go through those two with Californians. You can't just do the plan.
It's so weird. Like I could be talking with someone on Wednesday and it's like, oh, okay, like, all right, like I'll pick you up at like 7 p.m. on Friday. Okay, cool. That's the confirmation.
Yeah.
You know, like it's so weird that another confirmation is needed. So I don't know.
And then it just seems super disrespectful when someone's like, oh, sorry, like I had something come up. It's like, well, when that something came up, why didn't you say you already had plans?
Right.
I always thought that when someone said that to me, they're like, oh, something came up, I can't go anymore. It's like, we made plans for this day. Like, you're just disregarding ours for something new.
Right. Yeah, and from what I've heard and seen, it's really a thing of people
picking the better plan.
Kind of, yeah. It's like, oh, okay. Like the most bullshit fucking thing I've heard is, yeah, let me check my schedule. Let me check my calendar. First of all, you're not doing jack shit. Like I said before, it's like you're sitting on your fucking couch on Instagram watching some dumbass Kardashian show. Like you're doing nothing at all. You know exactly what you're doing. Like
I could see somebody saying that like maybe during the week. Like for me, when I don't when my remote job, because it's the schedule's different, I can see that being with me. Like if there was like night plans needing to be like if for a dinner. And
well, you're saying during the week,
right? I'm saying for me specifically, like if it's like, hey, let's go for dinner. Okay, like let me check my schedule because I actually don't know when I work, or I don't always have it memorized. But if it's like a weekend, I know I don't work on weekends. If anything, maybe you and I might have plans with our families, or maybe there is an event, but that's not really that often. So, and I don't know what people do, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like sometimes people say that so like they can like get out of the plan, so they can like stay home and do nothing or do whatever they actually want to do, which is like be a vegetable. And I don't know.
It's like, why even be friends with these people? And like, why are those people friends with you?
Yep.
Like you have any of those people? Like I've got like one or two friends that are, it's like fucking impossible to hang out with them. Like they never want to do anything. They, and like always have some excuse or scheduling. And it's like, but it's not even one of those things where you would think maybe like, oh, well, maybe they're not your friend or they don't like to chat with you or hang out. No, it's like they do, but it's like relegated to fucking text messages. It's like they don't want to put the effort into like actually hanging out and meeting up, but it's like, I'll text you all the time, or
yeah, I don't know why that is.
Or they talk about things but never actually want to do action on them, right? Like I have like two friends who, how many times they talk about it, they're always like, oh man, just get a beer, blah blah, and then I'm like, all right, like, you want to get a beer? Like, let's get a beer, let's plan, and it's like the conversation never goes from there, and it's like,
and then you always say like at some point you're always the one asking to do something, and then the other party isn't reciprocating the effort, and then you just sort of feel like it's one-sided. And then from there it's like, well, I feel like I'm doing all the work in this friendship. Is this friendship actually equal? And then you just keep wondering, like, do you actually care about me as a friend? Because I feel like I'm the only one making an effort to make plans and hang out. And then, there's also the fact where it's like they have wives or kids, and it's like, are you really that busy with that? Because I wouldn't want us to be married with kids and we still can't make time for like a friend like once a month. Like that seems crazy to me, right? It's like if someone wanted to hang out with you, it's like, yeah, go have a beer for a few hours. I got this, or vice versa. You know?
I mean,
I don't seem that doesn't seem crazy to me.
it's like it's not even like once a month. I'm talking about like some of these people. It's like I haven't had a freaking drink with them in like 2 years.
I know. No, I know.
You know, like once a month actually wouldn't be that bad,
right?
Or like even once every 2 months or whatever. But it's like these people is like you can't even, you know. And then I mean I don't know. There's periods of time where it seems like legit, where there's like, oh well, you know, when COVID was happening,
even the holidays,
or
like
whatever.
maybe the holidays isn't a great time because everyone's busy, COVID. But in general, like really, like what are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like, do people just really want to be with their spouses like 24/7, or maybe like is it like a controlling situation? Is it? I'm not sure. Like I don't know other people's situations, but I know that if like you wanted to go out for a beer for a few hours, like once a month, just however, whatever, if that was like a thing, like you wanted to start doing that, like that's really not an issue at all. Like we spend so much time together already, and I don't know what other couples, if that's like an issue, or it's like, do they have trust issues? Like I don't want you going out with beer, getting a beer with other guys. Like what are you guys going to do? So it's like I don't know what happens behind closed doors and why people are like the way they are. I don't know why people make it difficult to hang out with you, especially if they're your good friends. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, like one of my good friends who we tried planning like 5 or 6 times throughout the pandemic, and it was for one reason or another. He was traveling, family member got had a kid, and like didn't want to get sick, and it was like a whole thing. And then the girlfriend was sick, and it was just like all over the place. And then we finally eventually saw them, and we went over to their place.
That was like a year ago at this point.
Or at this, at least a year probably. Time went quick, and we're talking about like, we never ended up doing like escape room with them and stuff. I mean, like but I'm not. It's like not super picky with that stuff, right? Like, let's say it was like, oh, okay, I wanted to go, like Max, like play freaking ping pong or something like that. Like it doesn't matter whether it's I'm hanging out with him or like you come over and then it's the four of us. Like it doesn't really matter. For me, it doesn't really matter. Like, but there's a difference. There's much more of a difference between that or that and either of those and never seeing them, kind of thing. Especially when it's like it's just. I feel like it's like people just hang out with people who they're with. Like a lot of these people, like I was, I'm friends with or whatever, and I spent like a lot of time with them when we were at work, right? And then we went remote, and it's like you just don't. You talk to them again. You talk, you text, all that kind of stuff.
Unless it's the significant other that has an issue with your friend going out.
But if that was really the case, then wouldn't it be fine? Like, oh, well, they can come over. That doesn't even seem as there's a difference.
Or it's between, like she works all week and is like, I don't want people over. Like I just want to be alone, or then I could see that too, where maybe it's the significant other is like not really down to hang out, and then that makes the friend kind of empathize with that and be like, all right, let's maybe have a chill weekend, and then
I don't know. Yeah, because a lot of times, like Max in particular, he would tell me like, he's like they're doing stuff or what, like they're doing weird family stuff all the time, like his family or her family, and this one and that one, and
it's like, how many family stuff do you really need?
Yeah,
every month.
Yeah,
and it's like, this is your good friend that you see once a year now at this point.
Yeah, like I have another really good friend, Michael, who was out here and moved to New York after we finished our stem cell program. And yeah, wife, kids, and they're in New York, and he just graduated cardiologist or cardiology PA at this point already, it's probably been like 3 years he's been graduated, because he left when we finished that, and that was in fucking 2015. That was already 7 years ago. So yeah, he's already been doing it for maybe even 4 years or something. But yeah, it's like I don't even really talk to them much, you know.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. People get busy with their stuff, and is what it is. I don't blame. Like, I know he's actually busy. Like, wife, 3 kids, cardiology PA. It's like, sure, it'd be nice to like talk to you more, even if it's in text and stuff or a call or whatever. But I get it. Most people are not busy. Most people don't, like, majority of people in the world are not successful. So therefore, majority of people in the world are not actually busy. They're literally like just wasting time with whatever it is that they do. And that's fine. They could do that, but that's not busy. You know, it's like if you're watching like a YouTube video, you're not busy. If I were to, I don't know, if I was at the store and I were to call you, like, you can.
It's funny. Michelle's calling right now.
That's hilarious. Well, actually, that was a funny example I was going to say, is if you were watching like a YouTube video and like your friend called, and if you're not in the middle of talking to her, or you're like, I want to finish watching this, you won't pick up and answer. But you're not busy. Like, you're not like too busy to talk to her. It's just like, I'll call her later, or something like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting, and I just it all comes down to just priorities. What do you prioritize?
Yeah, 100%.
So
yeah, it's all about priority. Like, it's all about how you prioritize things, and what you consider to be important. I think like I think we spent a lot of time together, but we spent a lot of time together for probably 2 main reasons. One, or maybe 3. Like, one, we enjoy spending time together. 2, we typically enjoy either doing the same things or doing things that meld well with each other. Like, you could easily watch a YouTube video or read your book or write, and I easily am going to be on my computer doing something. So it's like,
they're not clashing.
Right. But also, I think the other component is, we take the time to prioritize the other person, because if you don't prioritize like your significant other when it comes to things, then are you, or you don't take the time to put in the work or put in the time. It's like you're not prioritizing them, and unless you're like Elon Musk, and then even then it's like you still would expect him to try to prioritize them. But I mean, it's reasonable. It's like, all right, he's maybe a little busy. He couldn't prioritize his partner above everything else, but he could still have them as a high priority. Like,
right.
Once I'm done with X, Y, and Z, because you got to be within reason. You can't be someone like Elon Musk and spend 8 hours a day with your partner. Like, that's not going to happen. The companies are not going to be able to run. But that doesn't mean that you couldn't spend a little bit of time with them, but that's also something that comes with a relationship like that, is you have to be aware, like, oh, okay, well, you run 5 of these freaking companies, you need to be able to kind of do that shit. Like, when the bull market starts happening again, it's like, there's going to be times where it's like, to actually like be making money is like, I need to be on the chart and trading. Right now it's just been fucking down only, doing nothing. And so, yeah, but
well, and I also think that being as one half of this partnership, it's also recognizing that there are going to be times that you need to prioritize certain things over time with me, and vice versa. It's like, maybe when I'm on like a writing kick and I'm like 2 hours in, you're like, you give me space, you kind of leave me alone for a while, you know, and we've talked about that where you're like, yeah, I saw you were writing and didn't want to like disturb you, which is great because it's really hard to get into that. And same thing when you're like in your trades, it's like you're doing your thing, I'm not going to bother you. And then I think because we know that ultimately we do spend the needed quality time together at some point in the day, whether that's like in bed or whatever, you know, it's not like an everyday thing where I'm like vying for your attention and it's like I don't know when I'm going to get it or if I'm deprived. It's like a very healthy balance where we have our own interests. And even you're really good too, and I hope I am as well, where it's like I hope we continue to encourage spending time with like our loved ones. And you went to like all my family stuff this year and you hang out with my friends and you know, we hang out with your dad and Max and his wife now or engaged fiance. And you know, like I love to make sure that we have all of those healthy relationships and hobbies in our lives because we have to have all of those to be a healthy individual mentally.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if I just kept you out of myself? No, you can't hang out with anyone. You can't do that. You got to spend time with me. Oh, it's just like toxic.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I was thinking about with you with the writing thing. I was so in the mood for some loving at that time, and she was writing, and she was like, I could tell she was in the zone. Like she had her headset on, she was listening to some music, she was kind of like jamming out, and you know, I know that you were like writing, and it was like an hour in, I think, and you were still going at it. And like I said, like I was definitely wanting some, like I was in the mood for some loving. And so the reason why I say that is because is sometimes difficult for me to control that aspect of myself. But
you left me alone.
Yeah, I was.
You did not say anything. You didn't even give me like a suggestive look.
Yeah,
you weren't ogling me. Like you just.
Yeah, I was just.
You just stayed over there.
Yeah, because I know it's difficult for you to kind of get into that flow, and then when you're writing, it's like because it's difficult to get into that, and when you're on a kick, because sometimes it's like you want to write and you're like, oh, I got 200 words, and I knew you had way more than that. That was the day you did 1,800, I think, and I was just like, all right, I'm not gonna think about that, and I'm gonna let her write because you know I want her to write. I want you to be able to complete your book, and you know we've talked about stuff like that, and so I didn't want to disturb you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean that's all the elements of being like a supportive partner. It's sort of like the little sacrifices you do for their happiness.
Right. Yeah. Quite the sacrifice.
Yeah. Well, a temporary one.
Yeah. Yeah. So well, let's talk a little bit about California. I mean, I think we already know, you've kind of mentioned in a few episodes a little bit about your stance on California.
Well, not really. We haven't talked about like the living.
Well, you've alluded to it. So, you know, you were born and raised here, grew up. So you're a Cali girl. She's a Cali flake by nature. No, she's not a Cali flake by nature. You're a Cali flake by default, and then you prove you're not a Cali flake.
I have to confirm because other people like trained me to do that.
Yeah. So you been here for quite a while, and but you've traveled a bunch, yes. And so Cali's not really your place.
I've seen the world.
You've seen some parts of the world. She's seen, compared to me, she's seen the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been to Europe.
Yeah.
Mexico, Caribbean.
Literally haven't
top
been
of Africa.
Anywhere. Well, I've been in the Caribbean a little bit.
A bunch of states.
Now I've been to a bunch of states. Yeah, that was the most like dense way of seeing state. Like, you know, it was like what 2.5 weeks, and we saw seven, eight other states, which was the most I've never even been to 8 states.
I want to do the other side. I want to do like Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, like Rhode Island, like that. Like,
see, the thing is, those are fucking easy because
they're all small.
Yeah, those you can go from one to the other, and
they can all fit in Cali.
I mean, you wouldn't want to because it's like, why are you going to rush through them? But
I want to see those states very badly.
You easily could do like.
You can do like 2 days in like a state, and then like you're already in the next state like a few hours. Like,
it's pretty cool. I mean, it's funny because I lived there in that area, and I never saw any. I even never saw
you. You were in Long Island.
Yeah, well, I never even saw upstate New York.
Yeah, even I've been to upstate New York.
Yeah, I lived in New York for like 20-some years, and I never saw upstate. Like, I don't, you know, when you're younger, especially with like my parents, and you know, they didn't really travel much with me. You know, and I was kind of more of like a homebody as it is.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So there are a lot of factors that kind of fed into why I never ended up.
And I had ice skating to force me to travel.
Yeah.
Early.
So yeah, we were the opposite with that. I had reasons that prevented me from traveling or preventing me from being like comfortable with it, and then you got freaking thrown into it.
And then my mom took me to Europe.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Your mom, and she's, you know, traveling, and
yeah, she loves to travel. So I'm glad she took me when I was younger, because, you know, as a child, you're not going to like plan for a trip. You got to have your parents do it for you.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so with that said, being the world traveler that I am, I've a lot of the times when I left, I didn't want to come back. I wanted to stay where I was. Like, I felt
kind of even happened with our road trip.
Just yes. There's places in our road trip that, I mean, it was just pretty. You know, there was, and I think it really comes down to about California is, I think there's 3 factors, and California just doesn't fit them anymore. And the main one is seasons, which is really funny because a couple days ago, when the last day of rain happened, you were like, you should be happy. You got like a bunch of rain like recently. And I was like, I got 2 weeks of rain. Out of 52 weeks, I got 2 weeks of rain. And so it's like, in the grand scheme of things, I should be getting like, I don't know, whatever a third of 52 is, you know, so like 20 weeks. So that would make me happy.
14.
Whatever. And so I just like 2 weeks. And then even like last year, what was it? A couple days we got rain. Like, I don't even remember rain last year.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
I don't remember anything.
I just want seasons, less people. So California, especially where we live in Irvine, it's just way overpopulated now. Like, driving home from work, I'm bumper to bumper on the streets. So population, and then just cost. You just can't buy a house. Like, the average person with a 40-hour job can't buy a house. And I think that's kind of the most soul crushing thing here. It's like, you just can't. Especially because all the it's like the median home price here is $800 plus.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of factors, but I mean, if you could afford a house, if it's not meeting the other things, then you could buy a house, but why would you want to live there?
Right.
So, you know, because I know a lot of people talk about the prices of homes and stuff here, and I don't know, it's very, very different. I mean, there are places in California where you can find that, you know, how home prices are cheaper. And
then most homes don't even have a backyard. It's like this small, like almost like a patio.
I definitely would want a backyard. I always have felt so bad about my dog who's at my parents' place. We got him before we came out here, and then um, we would or I had to move around a lot when I was in school. Um, Living situation, family stuff, and elsewhere, and I moved around a lot. Honestly, like while I was in college, it was almost like I was like an orphan as a kid. Like I didn't have a place. I was all over the place. Fucking yeah. After I broke up with my ex, when I finished school, I was like on a freaking air mattress for 2 years. At a fucking renovated garage, like.
And you couldn't keep the dog.
Yeah, and I couldn't keep our dog, or he was with me and my ex at where we used to live. And before that, I of course didn't have him. He was back at my parents, so he was like back and forth a bit. But I always felt bad because I wished I would have had somewhere where he could have been, and a backyard, and
Yeah.
he could run around, and because he's a little guy. I mean, he's got so much energy, and now he's just like with my dad, and he'll walk him and stuff like that.
But it's just like if you look at Irvine, it's all apartments. And everybody has like a dog these days here. But everyone walks them, hopefully. But it's the environment of the dog and lifestyle here is apartments and renting.
Well, I mean, there are a lot worse places to be in.
Yeah, of course. This is like the safest place in California to live. But it's not pleasant for me because I have to drive in it with all the other people, and everyone is crazy. It seems like everyone's in a pissed off mood when they're driving, and everyone is very selfish. Like they don't let people merge, or they're reckless. Just angry for whatever reason. Like it's just very stressed. Like I'm always anxious when I'm driving. And yeah, I feel like I just want to move to a little small town, like a decent town. I mean, what, this got like 800,000 people or something like that. 500,
Not that much.
300.
I think it's like half that. Yeah, it's like
yeah.
I think it's like three.
It was the same as Bend. I remember. I just can't remember what it was.
Well, you wanted absolutely small town.
Yeah, I want
no one anything. You wanted to be hours away from a city.
No, not that. Not far.
You did.
No, I never.
Was like,
I never said that. I always wanted
be in your fucking hospital and shit.
I wanted 30 minutes from like just out, like on the outskirts. I never wanted to be far from the city, like super rural, like where we got stranded.
I mean, you talk about up in the mountains and stuff, and usually that's pretty rural, away from shit. Yeah, up in mountains.
No.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes there's cities and mountains, but I just don't want. No, I don't want to be super far from anything. I want to be like 30 minutes. Like I'm comfortable there.
Like she watches some videos, like this one girl on fucking YouTube. This girl's crazy.
She's isolated. Like
she literally, it's like she just wishes she didn't live in 2023. She wishes she lived in like the fucking 1700s or like the 1200s or some shit, like where she'll literally go out while it's snowing into the middle of nowhere and like take wood and make a fire and then cook the fucking pot over it. It's like, why would you subject yourself to that willingly for no reason when you have all this technology and you could have a nice place and you have, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't want to be like that. I enjoy watching her because it's the way she films is very calming and it's pretty to look at. It's very, documentary-esque, where it's
Oh, that aspect's nice, but you did say that you wanted to be like her.
Well, I want it to be like her where it's like she has like all this land. She had the big garden that she was doing. She was building. Like, I like that. I don't like her.
Shack.
Not the shack.
It's literally, it's not even, it's not a house. It's a shack.
I love my appliances and I love having modern equipment, computers, internet. Like, I want all that stuff, but I like certain aspects of her life. I don't want her life exactly. So, yeah. And I don't think I can fully be happy here in California anymore. I think 30 years here, I'm over it. And I think somewhere in New England, at least in the US, would probably be like the best bet. Unless we go to a different country, then that's a whole other story. But the US, it's like, I think the only place that really intrigues me is that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, should we end it there?
Yeah. Yeah, we can. I think we're at the 51-minute
We're
mark.
at 50 minutes. We've been talking a lot. And I got to go to work in like 10 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. These episodes go on for...
We always say it like feels like 30 minutes and it's an hour.
Yeah.
It goes so fast.
It goes pretty quick. Yeah. I mean, there's always so much we can talk about California and New York. We kind of delved into it a little bit about what it's like being a New Yorker in California.
We could definitely, do this more. We have so much we could emphasize regarding this.
Yeah, I mean, there's way more shit we can go into too. Like, we didn't even really talk about like
how that affects us, like your personality, my personality. We didn't really go into that either.
Yeah, we also didn't really talk about the living environment too much.
No.
It was more about our own things as opposed to like the cities themselves or the states.
Yeah, maybe we'll do, another episode or two and do separate parts. Maybe have like a little focus on certain aspects of you being as a New Yorker. And yeah, whatever.
Yankees versus the Dodgers.
Angels.
Yankees versus the Angels is not really a thing.
I'm not a Dodger fan.
Angels are like the freaking B-list, whatever. All the Angels fans
but they're like right there. They're.
I know, but it's like Angels, Dodgers. Dodgers always they always outweigh them. Yeah, it's like the San Francisco Giants. Like, there's something, but like the Dodger base, it's like the Kings. Kings
they're just they're just louder.
Sometimes that's all you need for a team. Sports.
Oh my God. All right, we'll end it there. If you got this far, thank you so much for watching. We appreciate all the views. We appreciate all the likes, all the engagement. We've gotten a couple likes and retweets on Twitter, and it's been amazing. We can't even believe people have even seen our tiny little channel / podcast in like just the grand scale of everything that's on the internet. So if you come across our stuff, thank you so much. Leave a comment down below. If there's anything you'd like us to talk about, please let us know. We are definitely open to just about anything. So if you have any suggestions, leave it down below. Give us a like. It really helps us out a lot, I guess, on like the business end. So that would be great. Check us out on Twitter, Banter and Bliss.
Mm-hmm.
Twitter / Banter and Bliss.
Yeah, we should have the
the link's going to be right there
below.
Anything else?
I think that's it.
All right. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye.